Good morning, just here enjoying something a little different this morning. I'm drinking some oolong tea because I ran out of matcha. And it's really nice. It's a really very floral tea. Oh, my dog is just munching on some cardboard in the back behind this makeshift coffee table. This makeshift coffee table is just a bunch of bricks. I thought it would be a cool idea to set up some plants in the middle because I didn't have enough bricks to fill it entirely. And this zebra plant is just doing so well, so happy. I'm off to meet up with some friends and it's going to be very hot today. It's, I think, going up to 36 degrees. So this is my 36 degrees outfit. I'm wearing the Deiji Studios pants in black poplin cotton. I wear these every day. I wear them to do pottery. I wear them to go out to dinner. They have like an elasticated band, which is really nice for, you know, if you get bloated. This top is also another great investment piece that I bought, I think, last spring. This is from Flore. It's a Scandinavian brand and they do a lot of basics. And it's a really nice cotton, a thicker kind, but not too thick where you're just dying in the heat. Sometimes you just gotta invest in your elevated basics, you know? Everything else I usually thrift or I just take from my partner. This is a shirt that he bought in Thailand and I think we've come to the conclusion that it fits me better than it does him. It's just like one of these very flowy shirts, you know, in Asia I feel like they're really good at that, doing elegant but flowy, comfortable things. And I will be pairing it with this new bag. Let me put this cup down. This beauty is kindly gifted to me by Parisa Wang. This is the Gabrielle East-West. Ever since I've had it, I've been wearing it or finding any excuse to wear it pretty much every day. I've had it, I think, for 2 weeks now or so. I like to wear the items a little bit before I recommend anything, just to, you know, make sure that it truly is something that I love. Parisa Wang used to work in designer luxury houses, designing bags, and she realized that she herself couldn't afford the bags that she was designing. And so she decided to start her own label. And so the whole idea behind her brand is to focus on making well-made bags with quality premium materials. She also works with the ateliers that work with big luxury design houses. And on this channel, I love to support independent brands that are making really well designed pieces. This is made from full grain leather. And actually, because I've had to interact with a lot of leather products as of late, like bags and notebooks and such, I've done a little bit of research on my own. One thing that I've learned is that full grain leather is the top tier of leather that you can get. The grain that you see on full grain leather is the true grain. And it's also a really strong type of leather. So a lot of times designers use them for like hard wearing boots or like items that are going to need a lot of wear and need to be really strong and durable for a really long time. But this being full grain leather, because it's calfskin leather, it's extremely soft and supple and flexible, and most importantly, really lightweight. And I think that's something that Parisa Wang has emphasized a lot, which is designing bags that are using premium quality materials, but also really functional. Speaking of functional, the one thing that I really love about this bag is you have a main compartment and you have an inner pocket here, but on the sides you have one magnetic flap and another on this side. I usually set my keys in this compartment so I can just easily reach in and out for them. The main compartment has 2 zips, which means it's easy to open and close. And then it has these 2 minimal handles, so it's like quite a minimally designed bag, and it just looks so good on any outfit. It elevates any simple outfit, which I love. And I have to say, honestly, there's been times where I've just laid the bag to try to understand what it is about this bag that I find so pretty. In my personal opinion, it's these handle attachments. I know it's like a detail that you don't really notice, but something about the shape of this leather attachment here is just so pretty. It just reminds me of like petals or something. It has like a gentle curve here, but a very structured architectural boxy shape. And lastly, but not least, it fits a ton, which also is really important. The one thing that is the most important for me is for it to fit my camera, obviously, because if a bag doesn't fit my camera, then I wouldn't really use it. This is a contax camera that's kind of around the same size as my video camera. It fits easily. I have my sunglasses in here that I'll show you in a second, lactose pills, earbud thing. I have a bunch of pens in here. This was actually gifted to me by my friend. I wouldn't usually purchase cosmetics from luxury brands, but I will say whoever designed this did a really good job on the packaging. Since I'm meeting my friends later, I'm also going to bring in this is so random, but coffee beans. I'm also gonna run a couple errands, so I'm gonna bring like a market tote bag. I love these flip-flops. These are from the brand Archies. They have an arch here. I don't want to wear shoes inside. This is an Asian household. I have flat feet, so it's really helpful to wear shoes that have arch support. And I just did the most simple makeup. For my birthday, I got these sunnies. I was tired of wearing 10 euro sunglasses, and finding sunglasses that suit my face shape is like the bane of my existence. I like that you can still see my eyes so that when I talk to people, they can see my eyes. Vale. We're staying there. I just went for my first acupuncture appointment. She also gave me some ear seeds to press. Felt so nice when she put them in. It hurt a little bit, but she told me to press them 3 times a day. It's also really funny because I ended up doing the session in Chinese. I haven't spoken Chinese in so long. Welcome to our tea ceremony section of the video. I thought it would be fun to introduce you to my very first teapots, and why not brew some tea together and we can all judge how I did on my first teapots. Some of you have been with me on this channel for a few years now. I say that because some of you have messaged me where I've met you in person and you've told me that you've been here, you've been following this channel for a long time. And through this whole clay pottery journey, we have finally made it to the point where I can introduce or am practicing on learning how to make teapots. Exhibit A, our very first teapot, everybody. Clap, 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 clap. Actually, I made one teapot before this one. So this is my second teapot. The very, very first teapot, I haven't glazed it yet. I've reserved it for my dad because my dad really likes it. It's a different type of clay, so I have to test the glaze, yada, yada. We're gonna judge it together and see how I did on the pouring, etc. So this is what it looks like. Now the lid isn't so great, I know. Keep in mind, I glazed these so that I could test some of the construction that I did, and I already know it's flawed. There's no hole in the lid, so usually you put a tiny hole in the lid so when the water comes out, air can come in. It allows for a better pour. The lid kind of moves a little bit. It should be, you know, more securely attached. I did work on the spout, making the spout larger and then thinner. That usually allows for better pouring of tea. So we're gonna test out and see the tea pouring. I did also want to mention that, so this is the prune glaze. However, it is unevenly glazed because I'm testing some slight improvements just to allow for a little bit more variation in the glaze. However, it is a little glossier than I would like, so I kind of want to find a good in-between. There is a filter between the body and the spout. On this topic, I actually have a question for you guys. Do you prefer teapots with a built-in filter between the body and the spout? So a bunch of little holes to help you filter out your tea leaves? Or would you prefer like insert a filter at the top, like a metal filter, and then you take it out and then you empty that and clean that? Let me know what you guys prefer. Exhibit number 2. This is our second teapot with us here today. It has more of a square-ish, wider shape. It has a more decorative lid. I kind of wanted to give it sort of like a floral top. I just wanted to play around. And so we're going to be brewing some tea together and see how the teapots function. Most importantly, how they pour. I have steeped our water to 88 degrees Celsius because today we're going to be steeping 2 types of oolong tea. The first one is the one that I was drinking at the beginning of the video. This one is called Flore, which is sold by a store here in Valencia called La Petite Planète. It has a French name, but the owners are Spanish. They're a really sweet family-owned business. And I really like their selection of tea. Everything is loose leaf. The second one that we have is called Oolong Jasmine, which is Oolong Jasmine. I'll be brewing this one in a second. In terms of teapot, I think because this one is called Flore and this teapot was designed, inspired by florals, I think we should go with this. I have a little boat that my partner made from wild clay when we attended a wild clay workshop with tierra de archies. My partner designed it to put some coffee beans in it before he grinds them. But we're not gonna tell him that I'm using it for tea today. We're gonna do this sort of similar to Chinese Kung Fu tea. My aunt has taught me how to do them, but we're not gonna be doing a full one just because usually Kung Fu tea, they steep the tea for a very short amount of time and just a couple seconds, and there's like a whole pouring method, and I haven't practiced it enough. I'm not very good at pouring it. I usually burn my hand with the steam. So we're gonna do a bit of a mix of Kung Fu tea and Western tea brewing. This tea smells so nice. So we have a little bit of a blend. We have our black oolong tea leaves and some flowers. I'm also going to be adding some jujube dates. I'm going to pop in 2 into there and cover with the lid. This lid, by the way, is a little bit different than the other one. It has like kind of this like longer section here, so it prevents the lid from moving. So we're gonna let that steep for 2 to 3 minutes. In the meantime, I'm going to be preparing the next tea mix. This definitely smells more like China to me. It kind of smells maybe a bit more earthy and grounded, and also a subtle floral. This teapot, I think, holds a lot more water. I've looked a little bit into the history of why teapots are sized a little differently between Europe and countries such as China or Taiwan or even Japan, especially when teapots were introduced in Britain and later across Europe from Chinese porcelain teapots and produced, I believe, by the East India Company. And from what I understand is Chinese tea brewing is more of a meditative practice that is inspired by Taoism, and so it is something that you can do alone yourself. And it's a lot more focused on developing unique flavors in steeping tea leaves, whereas in Europe, tea was something that was more of a luxury. It represented refinement, and it was something that was enjoyed in a group. So you would tea a larger pot for the group, and you would then share and enjoy it together. I have a drinking teacup here that my aunt gifted me. She gifted me, along with this, a smaller Chinese teapot. Last time I saw her in China, she taught me how to do the gongfu tea ceremony. And she's very passionate about it and has a whole setup and a beautiful collection of teas. And so we're going to be drinking from this teacup today. Shall we test our first pour? Let's see how this pours. Here goes nothing. Okay, drip test. It has dripped a little bit. I'm not sure if you see that. The pour was all right. It could be smoother. I think that the holes that I made in the lid here could be a little larger. So it's quite dark. However, I'm pretty impressed by the lack of tea leaves in the cup. It seems like the filter has filtered out some of the leaves. There's only like one little piece that's gone through, so it's not too bad. Let's do a taste test. It almost kind of has like a bitter dryness to it, but very floral. Oolong just has a very grounding effect on me. It's also really good for your digestion. Now let's try the next brew. Okay, let's see how the pour is. Okay, it's a little less smooth, I would say. I don't know if you see that, and it dribbles a little bit more. It had a little bit more of like a straight pour instead of a curved pour. I don't know if it has to do with the fact that it doesn't have a hole in the lid. I also suspect that the glaze application on the inside was a little thicker. This smells a lot more like the tea they serve you in Chinese restaurants in China before you eat. They usually serve you some type of warm tea. It's bitter, but it has the jasmine that's coating your entire mouth. This one is a lot more subtle, but I like it. It's a bit more clear, if I had to say. Oh, and actually, jasmine is really good for liver qi stagnation. Well, I mean, oolong in general is good for your stomach qi stagnation. So if you're bloated, if you have a lot of dampness, if you sweat a lot, and jasmine is better for anxiety, for stress. And that was it for our very first teapot judging tea ceremony. I hope you guys enjoyed this and thought it was kind of funny. Maybe I could make this more of a regular thing where every time I work on new teapots, we can judge them together and see and critique. And it's a way also to like document the evolution of it. I find teapots very fun to do just because there's so many aspects that go into it and there's so many variations that you can do. And there's also a ton of learning on my end. There's just so much that has to be right. It's almost like you only get to making a perfect teapot once you've mastered absolutely everything. I'm going to enjoy my tea now in silence, and let me know if this inspired you to brew yourself a cup of tea as well.